Hello everybody, and welcome to the Kingdom Hearts key back cover cutscene commentary. We are so very close to the end of the Xehanort Seeker of Darkness saga, and obviously to bring this whole thing to a rightful close, we need to make sure to cover this particular oddity of a story slash game slash I'm not quite sure how to refer to it. Kingdom Hearts Key it's an odd one. But what we are seeing here today is the 60-minute movie that was created for the Kingdom Hearts 2.8 HD Final Chapter Prologue collection to effectively fill people in on some important bits of Kingdom Hearts backstory, like Book of Prophecies, well actually the Kirithes that we see here, they're going to be important, a whole bunch of other things as well. I remember when Kingdom Hearts Key and then Kingdom Hearts Unchained Key or Union Cross, or Kingdom Hearts Cross, I don't know anymore with this blooming title. It was released on mobile and, well, in the West anyway. Originally it was a web browser game in Japan, but it was then released on mobile worldwide. And it's an odd one. I've never played it. I feel like I should have done, because there has been some important, shall I say, revelations that have occurred. I remember when it was initially unveiled, everyone was just like, ooh, kind of like intrigue, because this goes back before the Keyblade War. And it's something that a lot of people had been asking for in some form for a very long time, actually. And from what I can tell, gameplay-wise, it seems pretty fun. It's basically sort of, you create your own Keyblade warrior, you've got story missions, other missions, you sort of just move about, you fight, using sort of different buttons and all sorts, and you click on things to attack, and all of that. And it seems like at least partway fun title, but it is one that initially it was not going to be it was not going to be related to the rest of the franchise, and then it inextricably became part of the franchise and has been sort of setting loads of different things in motion.
So that makes you the indisposable number 7.
But yes, this particular movie is quite fascinating because it's not a standard movie in the sense of beginning, middle, end.
Wait,
it's
don't tell me I don't count.
very much more different episodes and an ongoing story sort of filtering through that, which tells the story of the foretellers and the Master of Masters, which is this gentleman here, handing this mysterious cloaked figure the Keyblade that would go on to be Xehanort's Keyblade,
what seemed like a simple
which is
task
quite fascinating.
was the element that would connect all of the events to come.
So yes, as with previous cutscene commentaries that I've done, I will sort of, well, slot in and slot out, and obviously I will talk over bits where talking is happening, because otherwise, you know, not going to be able to do a whole lot, because obviously it's just a movie, but it is important to obviously watch to get everything you need to know ready for Kingdom Hearts 3, which at the point of me recording this commentary is already out in Japan and is very soon to be out in the world, and I am still very excited, and I'm slightly champing at the bit because I know that some people have already received copies, and I'm just like, I want it, but then it's fine because I want to finish Tales of Vesperia before it gets to that point, so it's okay. But Yes, I'm just sort of, I'm just in a sort of weird
But
fantasy world and
no quick
loving
skin
it.
For you, huh?
One of the things that I do find quite funny, I suppose, or that I quite like, is that the Master of Masters in back cover here is voiced by Ray Chase, who most people would recognise as being the voice of Noctis in Final Fantasy 15. So we got our Final Fantasy 15 Kingdom Hearts crossover right here, and I love that.
This world is full of light. It's a world comprised of many smaller worlds, all connected, stretching as far.
And I have to say, they did get some really good voice actors in for the foretellers, and really, I would say that this entire movie is very well done. It's an hour long, and I mean, like, the animations and just the visuals are stunning. It looks amazing. It's the best sort of that Kingdom Hearts has ever looked. And obviously that does in part help because obviously it's all pre-rendered, and that obviously helps.
That is why you granted us these Keyblades.
But it's a nice sort of
the teachings of light. And we can
blueprint, I suppose, for hopefully where Kingdom Hearts 3 is, but obviously we'll see when we get there.
The final passage reads, "On that fated land, a great war shall transpire. Darkness will prevail, and the light expire."
Isn't it our duty as Keyblade wielders to prevent this war from taking place?
Not possible.
What?
You really think you can change the future?
Then, what do you want us to do?
We have to focus on what comes after. There's no use thinking of ways to change events that we know are gonna happen.
But what about all of those who are here now? And the ones who will be here when the darkness finally comes? Are we to abandon all of them?
Come on, are you telling me that you think the world can be saved by just 7 people?
Well, personally, yes, because Kingdom Hearts 3 is gonna be a thing. But hey.
Yes.
Alrighty, good luck.
So, yeah, with the foretellers, there are some quite awesome foretellers. So we have Ira here, who is Ira. Okay, I've got it all wrong. Who is voiced by the amazing Matthew Mercer, who most people would recognise as being Levi in Attack on Titan, Kanji Tatsumi in the second half of the Persona 4 the animation, Leon Kennedy in Resident Evil, Chrom in Fire Emblem Awakening, and so on and so forth. You've got Invi, who we just saw there, voiced by Carissa Lee Staples, who doesn't have a Wikipedia page. Aced is voiced by Travis Willingham, who is another quite prolific voice actor. Roy Mustang in Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. He is also the comic voice of Knuckles the Hedgehog in the Sonic franchise. You then have Ava, who is voiced by Isabella Mona, who most people recognise as being CJ Martin on the Nickelodeon TV series 100 Things to Do Before High School, as well as being Isabella in Transformers The Last Knight and Lizzie in Instant Family. And then you've got Gula, who is voiced by Kevin Quinn, who most people would recognise as being Xander in the Disney Channel original series Bunked, and for his supporting role in the 2016 Disney Channel original movie Adventures in Babysitting. You also have Lushu, who is the sort of the mysterious extra member, who is voiced by Max Mittelman, who most people would be in the voice of Saitama in One Punch Man, King in the Seven Deadly Sins, Ritsu Kageyama in Mob Psycho 100, and also Ryuji Sakamoto in Persona 5.
They each created a union.
And then the Griffey, who narrates this whole thing is voiced by the amazing Lara Jill Miller, who most people, me in particular, would recognise as being the voice of Kari in Digimon Adventure, and obviously many other series, but Kari in Digimon is my sort of... That's what I will always remember her for, and she is delightful. So yeah, you can probably already see that this is a very episodic in nature, and in some ways it's a very interesting watch.
Among us.
Like, I remember when I watched it for the first time, I did find it really fascinating and sort of the mystery of the whole thing, but then at the end of the day there's not necessarily the how shall I put it,
sniffing around.
the resolution
Is that a dark
that
cherry?
I would particularly be hoping for.
Nightmare?
And that's... I feel that it's sad that that is the case, but there we go. Also, I think this music pretty much, and also, you know, the icon on its back shows that the Karithi is actually a Dream Eater, which is adorable.
Well, things are gonna get pretty hectic around here soon, but this spirit Chirithi is gonna make your lives much easier.
Oh, Chirithi, that's how you pronounce it. You see so many different
say they're
Kingdom
alive,
Hearts names,
they're
and I
dogs.
try and get the pronunciations correct, and they
they'll
just
be
go a
your
little
loyal
bit tits
pets.
up. Oh well.
Every wielder will have one of these adorable little guys at their side. They're here to help, so play nice.
Okay.
Oh, right. Before I forget. If a wielder is overcome by malice, or rather if their heart is tainted by darkness, their adorable little spirit will turn dark and become a nightmare.
So you're telling us that if we see a nightmare...
Someone has fallen into darkness.
Exactly. And if you don't stop this renegade spirit, it'll plant darkness in the hearts of others. And you'll have an army of nightmares on your hands. Beware.
So, if we see one of these nightmares anywhere, we have to get rid of it on the spot.
No! I won't let you do that!
No wonder you ended up as the bear. You're scary.
Your point?
Maybe you can growl at them.
Don't insult me!
Come on, Hassan. You won't know if it works unless you try.
Please tell me you're joking. It's not me!
There's an easy way to solve this. If we all summon our spirits, then we'll know.
Unfortunately, there are countless wielders in our unions. It would be easy for any of us to summon a Chirithi that isn't a nightmare.
So,
I'm afraid
yeah, this
that
is sort of
suggestion
the
wouldn't
main
help us
through
get to the
fare
bottom of
of this narrative, is
in that case,
that there is a
Who's to say
traitor
that the nightmare
in the
you saw
midst of
belongs
the
to one of us?
Foretellers. And the
belong to
Foretellers are
anyone in
trying
our
to
union.
figure out who it is. Because
That's
basically
highly
they
unlikely.
believe that it is one of
Do you
them,
recall the tool
and
wielders
if
were
they
given
think if they
in
can
order to make them
stop
stronger?
the traitor, then they
We
can stop the
generally
Keyblade
don't concern
War.
ourselves with
But
what
obviously
they
we all
have
know
at
that
their
that is
disposal.
inevitable, and
However,
it's not quite going to go down as we would hope.
I believe those tools were the nightmare's doing.
The bangles. I know when they're equipped, they have the power
But,
to collect dark energy. But
yes,
I
I mean,
that was okay.
Collecting
I have to, I
fine,
do like this,
but using
but
that
kind of
power
looking back at it now, it
is the
is maybe a
equivalent
little
of
bit on
using
the
the power
slower
of darkness.
side. It's only an hour, but
It's a brilliant plan.
there's a lot going on, I suppose, and this is me sort of just spitballing as I'm doing this commentary and
There's
thinking,
no way to tell.
maybe this wasn't as smart an idea as I had initially thought. It's fine, because, you know, I've done
So what
Return
now?
of Memories 3 for 2
do
days and
we find out
recoded,
who's behind
and they were a lot longer than this, so
Seems
I
those
know I
bangles
can make
couldn't
it
have been
through.
acquired by just
But,
anyone. I believe it's one of us
yeah,
in this room.
there's not actually a
Laura,
huge
I
amount, I
respectfully
suppose, that comes
disagree.
out of
What proof
back
do we
cover
have that the bangles
that,
are tied to the power of darkness?
in terms of, like,
Or if a nightmare
really,
is to
truly
come, we
exciting
shouldn't simply jump to
things,
conclusions.
it very much stays on this
Some leader
mysterious
You've
bent.
managed to plant seeds of doubt
for
in
pretty
all of
much
us with
the
that
majority of the film.
spirit. What? Did you expect the traitor to give themselves up with
Which-
that accusation of yours?
it is an interesting watch,
That's quite enough.
but I think when you end up coming back to it, you kind of go,
Master made the wrong choice.
you maybe could have
Wait,
sped this up a
where do you
little
think
bit.
you're
I
going?
do think that they perhaps could have crunched this into
think we're
about
done here.
kind of half an hour,
I
40
trust you'll keep
minutes,
us all.
maybe. But hey, these things happen, and also
hope we can all
Kingdom
resolve
Hearts has not always been necessarily the most concise with its storytelling, so I suppose I can forgive it in that sense.
That didn't go as expected.
What's wrong, Ira? This isn't like you.
A lost page. Something's missing from our book of prophecies. Each of our copies were said to contain the events of the future. But this incident, well, it's nowhere to be found.
And how does this whole thing with the traitor tie together?
Like I said, it's nowhere to be found. In my book.
Ira, are you implying that someone is in possession of the missing page? And the person with the complete book is the traitor?
There is something going on, and a page is suspiciously missing from the book. It's not so far-fetched to assume that the one who has the lost page has been turned, that they have fallen into the hands of darkness. Trust me.
There seems to be no record of it in my book either. You may be onto something. I wonder, could this have been the Master's plan all along? To grant the lost page to only one of us?
We have no way of knowing. The Master is gone.
I understand what you're saying. I promise to keep a close eye on the others. I will keep you informed, as always.
Thanks.
Of course. After all, that is what the Master asked of me. And Ira, may your heart be your guiding key.
So, now we get to the case of envy, and
So, sum it up. I'll need you to observe the others.
basically, sort of, yeah, we get to see the roles that each of these foretellers were given throughout this narrative.
Like I said,
And it is
You may
quite
have to take over,
interesting to see exactly
But don't
how
be
it all
shy.
sort of
just be fair.
plays out.
And do not be afraid to speak up.
But I feel that
Even though
probably
I say
what I should do
observe,
is, because
you'll
we
need to
have
be
only
the
got an
mediator.
hour to go here,
Make sure people get
is to
along.
go over sort of actually the whole thing
understand.
with
But
Kingdom Hearts Key.
without you or
Um,
Mushu, to
Because
form and maintain
this
our own unions
back cover does effectively cover
It's a
the
little
plot
unnerving,
of
to be honest.
Kingdom Hearts Key,
Come
but it
on,
doesn't
lighten up a
go
little.
all the way
Maybe
to
you'll
its
never
conclusion. Which I suppose does disappoint me a little bit, because I was expecting this to be a proper full movie of that whole narrative,
No, of course
but
not.
then it wasn't. But hey,
I was just kidding.
so
Oh, I
that
see.
is definitely something that I will.
Okay.
I think I might
Adapt
have to
and
leave
change
until
can
the
be
next
hard
part
for
because, as fast as I can read,
Things need to keep moving
because
forward.
obviously I'm basically going to read from
Keep up. Otherwise,
Wikipedia for the plot
you'll
synopsis
just
of the
get
story,
left
and I don't
Now
quite
that
think
you know
that I
what
can
the
do
future
that in about
holds.
3 minutes, because there is a lot of stuff going on there, so we'll leave that until part 2 of this, because I have split it up into parts, because
I say it all the time.
I need sort of,
Ultimately need to do.
I feel slight
Your heart feels
breathers
is right.
in between these, just to
Right.
keep the flow going, and also just spread it out so it covers a week rather than, you know, a day.
I was wrong about you. I thought he would make a great leader, but he let me down. Well, what do you two think? You don't believe what Ira said, do you?
Of course not. His argument was unconvincing. It's like Invi said. He's just making baseless assumptions given the situation. There's no evidence to tie his accusations to anyone, let alone one of us.
Maybe there's something he hasn't told us.
And he needs to tell us. How dare he look at us with suspicion? We're his comrades.
I wouldn't call us comrades. Anyway, could you get to the point? I know you didn't call us here just to complain.
I want the three of us to form an alliance.
But alliances are forbidden, I said.
I knew it. I had a feeling it would come to this. So, we join forces, then confront Ira?
Confronting him is pointless. Ira won't change his mind. I know there's darkness at work. There's no question. But I don't believe for a second there's a traitor among us. Unfortunately, Ira doesn't share the same belief. He's just wasting time trying to figure out who the traitor is. The darkness won't wait, and neither should we. We need to band together now and find a way to fight it.
Guess it makes sense.
I agree that we need to do something to fight the darkness. But combining our unions?
This ultimately raises
That was
an
strictly forbidden
an interesting point, because there's a lot of dialogue about, well, between characters, what should we do, and trying to think through the process of how do you find out who a traitor is. And I would say that ultimately the story of Kingdom Hearts Key is very much like a tragedy, in the same manner that Birth by Sleep is, really. In that it's characters talking and not talking, and understanding and not understanding, and misinterpreting, and that ultimately leads to, well, obviously, everything that occurs.
You wanted to see me?
And that is... It's always something that I do find really interesting to watch and see unfold, because you then start to try and piece together how you got to that point and why, and it is always something that I do quite like to see. The only thing I think that Kingdom Hearts back cover suffers from in that respect is that obviously these are all brand new characters, and because there isn't a simpler kind of fare through the narrative, it's a little bit difficult to know where to sit, and because you don't necessarily have a character to connect to emotionally, you don't really know who to trust, and that is the point, and that in a way is effective, but I think there's a reason that the rest of the franchise has succeeded in terms of getting us to connect to the characters, because in most of them we've had Sora, and obviously in Birth by Sleep we had Aqua, so, and well, most of the lead characters that we've connected with, but these guys sort of appear, are already all untrustworthy and then disappear, and so it's a bit complicated. But yes, we're already a third of the way through, and it is all kicking off.